Teatro di Marcello, or Colosseum No. 2, which people quickly used for housing in the post-flood period. And for a long time this entire structure was completely inhabited. Now its lower two tiers have been cleared from soil. They already belong to the state, but all the rest of the space that this theater occupied belongs to a certain family that was lived here for a long time. And we can see how the facade of this theater has been destroyed by time. The once beautiful decorative elements have almost completely crumbled away. We see that the travertine below has a dark shade. It was all covered with soil, about 4 meters high, and for a long time there were roads and even buildings on this post-flood backfill. And here is an old photograph to confirm this. It shows that the lower level of the arches literally protruded slightly from the ground, barely enough to place the doors inside. The Romans apparently built some kind of temple nearby. We will come closer later. And this is it. Once upon a time, the ground came right up to the base of these columns, and for a long time people didn't even think about what was underground. They built buildings here, lived here until Mussolini came and started conducting huge excavations all over the Rome. Demolished buildings, and thanks to him, in essence, we can now observe all of this, because from there the ground level went straight there, where was even more there. On that side, where was generally 5-6 meters of backfill. Inside the theater we can see these two arches. They are very badly damaged. Here you can see that they were restored. Many stones were replaced. It's interesting that the inner arch seems to consist of different stones, different colors, very strange. But we can see the gaps are zero here, as in the Colosseum. Of course, a lot has already been smeared with mortar. A lot of different staples have been made. A lot has been replaced. The ceilings are already new, but due to the fact that this structure was underground for a long time, it was very, very badly damaged. Well, we see that this structure reminds very much the arches of the Colosseum, although there are only 2 rows of the arches here, and inside, as in the Colosseum, there are solid walls. However, this is not a copy of the Colosseum. It even seems to me that this theater was never completed, or it was destroyed, bombed, just as the Colosseum was partially bombed. But don't forget that we are talking about its travertine base, made of these huge blocks, perfectly joined. By the way, there are traces which are sometimes found on the blocks in the Colosseum of some kind of tool, and just ideal joints of stones. And there are many more traces here, opposite that we saw in the Colosseum, and this once again indicates that the structure is not finished, not completed. Well, as we know, it was completed at the time when the Colosseum was being recompleted, when great construction projects were taking place in ancient Rome. Perhaps this was also built at that time, because although the columns look very good and seem to stand on a travertine base, but if you look a little from a side, we will see the bricks that stands at the base of this structure, and this marble, this is just a facing to give the building a more impressive appearance. And the theater itself apparently was also rebuilt from brick and of course wood, so it subsequently suffered greatly from fires and was destroyed, and naturally very little has survived to this day. And when there was a flood, and these columns can even be said to have miraculously survived. And this part of the arch was built in our time, since with the naked eye you can see a completely different human technology and other building materials. And only when they cleared the backfill here, only then were they able to build this, probably to support the upper floors, which apparently rested on the soil that had poured after the flood. Otherwise, those upper floors could have collapsed. On the second tire, we see again Roman concrete between the arched structures and living quarters above. There are still some steps left here, marble, beautiful. It is exactly those elements that the Romans built into their buildings, taking them from some other structures, such as the Colosseum or this theater. It was from there, probably, that all these stones were taken, which remained here in small quantities. Apparently, when this flood tsunami was coming, it swept all this away, and it ended up under the backfill. The magnificent elements, of course, are already very badly beaten by time, by water, possibly people. But unfortunately, these are only literally grains of the beauty that was once here. Another ceiling element, literally a fragment. Well, such fragments are found everywhere in Rome. For example, a column sticks out of the ground right in the middle of the street. And that is all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel to see new discoveries.